Yeah, hello.
Hi,
Hi,
Dinesh.
Cristiano. How are
How
you?
are you? I'm fine. What about you?
I am also good. Thank you. Yeah, can you please tell me something about yourself? How many years of experience do you have, and which framework have you worked so far? What is
Okay.
the role and responsibility?
Okay. Well, I have 17 years of experience as a developer, always working with Java, both the old versions of Java, which were like full stack applications, monolithic ones, So use JSP, struts, and other frameworks. And on the latest 9 years, I have been working with Spring, so building APIs and sometimes maintains on front-end applications using React, Angular, and mobile applications using Java for mobile development of Android applications. Sometimes Kotlin too, both for backend APIs using Spring and native applications for Android phones. So that's a very brief of what I did all those years.
Great, great. So total experience in Java, right? 17 year of experience in Java, right?
Yes, yes.
Some other technology.
Always as a developer.
Okay, as a developer. Great. Okay. So which version are you currently working on?
Currently, I'm working with my last position was with Java 17, and on current position, I do have a React application for the front end, and for the back
Mm-hmm.
end, Java 8.
Mm-hmm.
Java 10, sorry, Java 10 with Spring Boot. It's an API on the back end.
Okay, so what are the feature of Java 17 you are using in your project?
Okay, there we had records. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I guess that was the main difference I noticed. Instead of using POJOs and Java Beans, we used
Mm-hmm.
records to get data from the database and to make changes there.
Okay, only you are using the record class. That's it, right?
Yes, yes,
Uh,
that's the most different I noticed there. All the rest was about
mhm,
the same classes for REST mapping, yeah, Spring
mhm.
Data to connect with database. So the only difference was the records.
Okay, so and which Spring Boot version have you worked on?
I guess it was version 3 I worked there, and the other
Mm-hmm.
projects 2 dot something, but I never took a look deeply on details about the Spring version.
Okay, okay, great. Okay, so did you get a chance to work on AWS Cloud also?
Yes, on the past, I had worked on some companies which used AWS as the cloud. Currently, on this
Mhm.
project, we do use AWS as the cloud, but my role as a developer is just to deploy applications manually sometimes, but most of the time using Jenkins as the pipeline to build and deploy applications and accessing the cloud to see both logs of application for troubleshooting and sometimes configuring security groups. Once I was at a project which I had every time I log in the system, I had to change my IP address on the security group to grant access to the application. So in
Mhm. Oh,
Studs, I already configured a cloud from the scratch, building up a EC2 instance and then installing the things needed to run an application. But on my professional life, I just deploy applications, check if the instance is running, and check logs to troubleshooting.
okay. And which AWS services have you worked on?
Mainly EC2.
Mhm.
The I guess is RDS for the database, the relational database.
Mhm.
Very much those two, and I guess it was Datadog, the tool we used to see logs, but I'm not very sure about that. It was a place I log in into AWS console and then go on a specific part to see the logs, but I don't remember now. I guess it was log
So,
catch or Datadog. I'm not very sure.
so have you worked on Datadog for
Yes,
creating alerts, monitors?
yes, but just the part to see the logs and exceptions of the applications.
Oh, only logs and exception.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
have you ever created the monitors,
No,
alerts in Datadog? Okay.
not yet.
And have you worked on DynamoDB, Lambda, SQS?
Lambda I configured one once. It was for when a user was registered on the system or had some data changed. It triggered a Lambda routine in order to send, if I'm not wrong, it was a push notification for the cell phone to confirm that those changes were made by him. So it was a Lambda expression using Python at the time. It was already done there. I just had to make some changes on the logic.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay. So, which language have you written the Lambda function?
It was in Python, using Python. But it was already there, done. I just had to make changes on it. I did not write from the scratch.
Okay. 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 And have you worked on ECS, EKS?
No, ECS and ETS, not yet. I used SC3 too on one application to read the files and to write there. But ECS and EBS, I did not work with that. Not straightly, maybe behind the scenes it was there, but I didn't touch it.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay, suppose let's come on Java and then we will come to Spring Boot. It is a general discussion, feel comfortable. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so suppose we have a one list, okay?
Okay.
In one list, we have a 3 partition object,
3, sorry?
okay? Partition object.
Partition.
Yes, partition object. In partition object, we have a partition ID and start offset value.
Okay.
Okay, and we iterated the list and get the partition object using the partition ID and start offset value. I created a thread.
Okay.
Okay, due to some reason, if any thread got stuck. Okay, so I want to restart that thread. So how do we know which thread got stuck?
Okay, you are saying about using a list and using threads to read the information on the list, right?
Yes, we have created a thread, right? So I want a logic to check the health of the thread.
Okay. Well, in fact, I'm not very used to threads programming, so I know there is a problem when you have a list and threads because you cannot control the access of different threads to the list, and that can lead to a problem. But I really don't know much details about this part of Java. I always use like RabbitMQ or Kafka to do asynchronous processing, so I'm not very used to thread. But we can try another questions. I can try to answer.
Okay. Suppose we have a one list, okay, and we have a 3 thread. One thread is adding the record into the list. Second thread is reading the record from the list. Third thread is deleting the record from the list.
Okay.
In that scenario, which list class we should use?
Sorry, can you repeat that part?
Which list class we should use?
Which one is better for thread safe?
Yes.
Well, I really don't know, man. I always use a array list, but I don't have this kind of knowledge.
Okay, no problem. Suppose we have a 3 standalone Java application.
Okay.
And we are running on the same system. Okay.
Okay, on the same operational system, you mean?
same system. Okay.
Okay.
Means we are running on the same server or same institute instance, whatever. Okay. So it will use a separate JVM for each application, or it should use a same JVM for all the application.
We can do. In fact, if you run three different processes, I guess that each one is running on its own JVM instance, but sharing the installation of the JVM, the same version and files, but running separated and isolated instance. So one application cannot access the memories on that used by other ones.
So what could be the reason for that? Why it will create a separate JVM for each process? What could be the reason?
I guess when you simply run the program with Java that you run jar, then this is enough to separate each process on its own JVM.
Okay. Okay. So do you know what is the internal working of tree map? How internally tree map work? What data structure it used to store the element?
Sorry, can you repeat about that? You have an image, is that?
What is the what is the internal working of tree map?
Okay, how the tree map works internally.
Yes. What data structure it used to store the element? In this
Okay.
scenario, we should use.
Okay, for three maps, as all the maps, you have a queue and value pair, right? So you can have a queue, a key for which to index that object, and then you can do that to put information inside the map and to get information from there. I always use hash map. In fact, which hash map you have a hash as the key, and then you have the object. For the tree map, I really don't remember details about it. I guess it puts things in order, like if key on the map, If you have a key 1, this object will be the first, and then key 2 will be the second, but I'm not very sure about that.
Okay, so what is the hash collision problem in hash map? How it will resolve?
The hash collision.
Yes, hash collision problem in hash map.
Okay, so if you have the same hash map for two keys, and they are okay. In fact, what I will do is try to make my key having the hash method well implemented in a way to avoid duplication. But once you have the duplication of it, it will override the value. So if you have already a value with 1 and then you do another put with the same key, it will replace the value inside the map.
So do you know hash collision problem in hash map?
Hash collision problem? No, I don't know. It's not the situation where you have the same key which is already there.
Yeah. Okay. And you work on the Kafka, right? Kafka, yes, FTMQ.
Yes, to insert things on the queue and then have another class reading information from there and doing the processing.
Okay, so which library have you used to read the message from the Kafka, consume the message?
I used Spring QA, the name of the library, the framework, in fact. So Spring does the abstraction and gives methods for both queuing items and reading items from the queue.
So, have you used the simple producer consumer API or Kafka stream API to perform the operation?
Yes, it is not the Spring implementation, but the full Kafka. I did there, but just on studies. So as I remember, it was the same organization, so you had a part which you call a method that puts information on the queue, and another part which listens to that queue to get the information. So once something gets inside the queue, Kafka sends like a trigger to this listening part, and then it starts the processing there. But that's how I know about it.
Okay, suppose we have a Kafka consumer, okay? And we are consuming batch of messages from the Kafka. In one batch, we configure 10 messages, okay? So Kafka consumer consume the one batch of messages, okay? Get the one batch. In one batch, we have a 10 messages, and we successfully process 3 messages. While processing 4th message, we got the exception. Okay, in that scenario, what will happen?
Okay, so you have like a pool of 3 messages. In
In
fact,
one batch, we have a total 10 messages, but we 3 messages we successfully process it. While processing 4th message, we got the exception.
okay, so it would like treat it like a transaction, roll back the block of 4 messages, and like queue it then again to do processing later, or maybe putting on another place in order to get future manual treatment, since it is treating like blocks. So if you one error occurs on one item of that block, then the entire operation is cancelled.
So have you ever customized the checkpoint, Kafka checkpoint?
No, I just use the topic to put and read information from there.
Okay. And you work on the ActiveMQ also, right?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
ActiveMQ also, right?
RabbitMQ, yes, the same word to put things there and read them on another class.
So what is the purpose of using the Kafka? In which scenario we should use the Kafka, SQS, or ActiveMQ, or in which scenario we should use the REST API for communication purpose?
Okay. Well, in fact, on my experience, it was already set up, so I didn't make that decision. I just used what was there. So I really don't know in details the difference between them.
Okay. Suppose we have a 3 microservice.
Okay.
So how they will communicate with each other?
Okay. Well, we can use like Fang implementation in order to have an abstraction. I don't have to deal with much lower level details. And sometimes I use it on HackerRank tests, the HTTP connection to connect between one another. And I think there are other ways too. But I guess the best experience I had was using things, because I just had to define with annotations what the external microservice needs as both parameters and return types. And then I just have this interface and call it, and it becomes transparent from my point of view. I don't have to deal with details because Fang does that behind the scenes.
So it will communicate through REST API. It will do synchronous communication or asynchronous communication.
Okay, it will do asynchronous communication because it will wait until the other API responds before continuing the processing. So that's what would happen. But you can think too as a synchronous, but in lower level. In high level, it's like it behaves like a synchronous call because you will wait for the response to continue your processing, right?
So in this scenario, we should use asynchronous communication.
Synchronous, okay. Now, when you have a situation where you don't need the information from the web service you are calling to continue your processing. Like, I don't know, if you want to send an email, then you don't need to wait until the email is sent to continue your processing. So that could be a scenario. So just to make a better response, every time you don't need the response of that external server to continue what you are doing on your application.
Okay, so have you worked on circuit breaker?
Yeah, I know the concept of circuit breaker, but I never use it. It's that concept where you can have a microservice offline, then you, instead of throwing an error, you have like a fallback way to continue your processing. But I never used that in real world yet.
Okay, suppose we have a active MQ right? And we have a we have a consumer that read a message from ActiveMQ. Okay. So, and if we get the exception in consumer, I want to do the retry of that message. So how we will do the retry for ActiveMQ?
Okay. Well, you can have that manually set up in order to have a thread waiting a certain amount of time in order to try again. You can do that inside a traditional try-catch approach, but you can do some configurations in the queue provider in order to re-queue that same message to be processed again, and you can have a treatment like you can retry 3 times, and if you retry 3 times and it doesn't happen, you simply put that in another place to do a manual processing later.
Okay, so this is the fixed interval retry, right? Whatever we configure, so it will do the fixed interval retry. Okay, suppose we want to use exponential backoff algorithm for retry. So, do you have any idea how we will do that? Suppose first message come, right? We got the exception, then we retry 1 minute after 1 minute. Okay, and we got the same message second time, and we got the exception. Then I want to retry that message after 5 minutes. Okay, and when we get that message third time, we want to retry that message after 15 minutes. We exponentially increase the time. So, do you know how we will do that in ActiveMQ?
No, I really don't know how to configure it there.
Programmatically, yeah.
Yes, that we
Because there is no configuration to use the exponential backoff algorithm directly on ActiveMQ.
Programmatically we could do like it depends on the environment, but if you have a default Java environment, you can put a thread.wait and then do calculations in order to decide when you want to retry it.
Actually, we cannot wait, right? If we wait, then it will consume a lot of CPU cycle, right? CPU cycle and memory. So it will hang up the system, right? Once we get the message and we perform some operation and directly, and that message goes back to the ActiveMQ again.
Yeah, once you have an error, it requeues the message. So you could have, I know what you're saying, if I have a thread.wait, it will not return the message there. But you could wait with thread.wait and then requeue the message. But I got what you are saying. You can, for instance, wait 1 minute, requeue that message, and then you don't know when it
slow down the process, right? It will slow down the process because you are waiting for 1 minute.
Because you will not process next messages. You will be stopped at that point, and in some way we can think that you are breaking the asynchronous processing by doing that. unless you have more than one instance of processors reading the queue.
So have you worked on the Lambda, Java 8 Lambda?
Oh, yes, sometimes using that parentheses and like to pass the method as if it was a parameter for another function. I did some work with using Lambda.
So how are you comfortable writing the code in Lambda, means using the functional programming in Java?
Okay. In fact, I do prefer to use the other way, the traditional one, but I can understand, and sometimes I have some questions, let's say, and I do some searches, and I can do declarative programming in Java. But I do prefer the traditional way with ifs and fors. It's more natural for me. But I have worked on some scenarios. On this company where we have Java 17, everything there was in declarative way. So I had a list, and then I do a for each, then I do a filter, a string, all those ways of programming.
Okay, means you haven't worked on the functional programming, right? Have you worked on?
You mean like instead of having a for to go through the
Use,
elements of a list,
yeah,
using a list dot
both use
string?
the flat map, reduce.
Yes, I use it sometimes, but always with help from Google and Stack Overflow. I don't really know how to do that. I'm not very used to do that. I know what if everything does, but when I go to program, it's like I have this situation where I have to stop and do search and then go on. I'm not very used to program this way yet.
Okay. Okay. So, and have you ever worked on the Scala?
No, I never worked with Scala. And as far as I could chat with people in other interviews in this process, for this position, you have the opportunity to learn it, right?
Okay. So, are you interested to learn Scala and do the coding?
Yes.
In Scala, we are using the functional programming, right? For writing the code.
Okay. I did some things with Flutter using Dart, which is functional programming. So that's something interesting for me. Once you have this, that will be this learning curve in order to become productive on it. But
Because functional Scala is popular for functional programming, and it will improve the performance of the application, and it is built on top of Java.
oh, good, like Kotlin, right? I think
Yeah.
I
You
saw
it
something about.
internally use the JVM to execute the Scala code.
Oh, okay, good, sounds good. I have heard some things about Scala in the past, maybe when I was at the college, I don't remember. But it will be a challenge for me, but something I would like to do.
So, and have you worked on Python, Node.js?
I worked on Node.js using Loopback to build a backend API. It was a freelancing project I did for a small company. And using Angular too, we have Node behind the scenes, right? And for React, the same situation. So I know some things about both the Node and the JavaScript frameworks in general, but not so deeply, as I don't have that much experience as I have in Java.
Okay. And NoSQL database? Have you ever worked on NoSQL database?
Yes, MongoDB. We use that
MongoDB.
in this project with Java 17. And on the past, I worked with Pivotal Gemfire, which is almost the same thing.
Okay. Suppose we have a Spring Boot application, okay?
Okay.
And we have a third-party API that exposes the configuration file, application.property file.
Okay.
Okay, in Spring Boot application, I want to read that application.property file from third-party server and load into the context before starting the Spring Boot server. So how we will do that?
You mean it will be on another machine? Where would be that file?
Yes, third-party servers that expose the configuration file as a REST API through REST API.
Okay.
So I
Then,
want to read that configuration file from third-party server and load into the Spring Boot context before starting the Spring Boot server.
okay, I know. I worked on an application that has this configuration, but I didn't work on that, so I don't know how to do that. I have to, if I need to do that, I will need to research to find out how to make it.
Okay, okay. Okay, Christine, do you have any question or anything?
No, at the moment, so far, so good. I could
Yeah,
understand
nice to
everything.
talk with you.
Nice to talk with you, Danesh. Have a good
All
one.
right.
Bye bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Caraca, velho, que entrevista difícil, mano. O cara só perguntou coisa que eu não sabia, cara. Você tá louco? Eu tava torcendo pra essa entrevista acabar logo. Meu Deus do céu, velho. Só coisa difícil, hein?